on OBS. Hey, YouTube podcast. Woo. Anyway, uh, we got back from Seattle regionals Saturday, and we're recording this Tuesday because we were not feeling good afterwards. At least I was feeling sick afterwards.
I was sick the whole time. I'm always
Yeah.
I'm always sick.
But it was. I brought a good deck for the wrong event. That was my takeaway. Every deck I faced was playing Shifter, and I really, really want that card banned again. I went through like a small stage after the YCS where I was an advocate that it should get banned. I calmed down a little. I stopped running into it as much, and I was like, maybe I was overreacting, and it was just because I was playing tier. I played this again, and I was like, I want this fucker banned.
So the issue is that the format is shifting back to shifter decks, and that's causing an imbalance in the whole entire system
Mm,
because that means that pure Ryziel can be ran. And in case the the argument to run pure Ryziel is that when it goes to sideboarding, you don't have to counter sideboard too much with Ryziel. What you're sideboarding is what's good against the deck. And maybe a couple of, or and maybe a dimensional barrier if you're going second, so that you can cross it out if they flip it on you and try and end your turn, right? But
yeah,
even that, I mean, I don't think I had D barrier flipped on me once at that event. I mean, I scrubbed out pretty early too, but
yeah.
I
I
think I'm just awful at playing Yu-Gi-Oh at this point.
made it to round 5, I believe, and 4 or 5 before we all did bad. Everyone that we rode up with, none of us except for one. Well, the only one that was doing well already had his top. So he's like,
Well,
I
AJ had it, and he's, oh, there's no way that I can get a top 8, so there's no sense in continuing.
yeah. So, it was so we took off early, which I'm kind of glad we did. Not only because I was definitely like starting to feel really sick, but also because the weather was really bad. It was
It was changing, yeah.
low visibility, super misty rain, and everything like that. It was not like
Yeah, that night we left, I feel bad that we were waiting on me, but I mean,
the,
I
the
got
not.
to play the Gundam card game, and that night was even worse bad, you know?
Yeah, coming back home, it was even worse of how low visibility it was. I was actually
Yeah.
surprised Trevor was going over the speed limit. I was so proud
Dude
of
was
him.
in a freaking hurry. He was like, nope, I'm beating this weather. He
Mm,
does that though.
I was proud
Like
of
we
him.
started playing random songs and stuff, and I think it hyped him up a little bit. And
Yeah, but we get to this hotel, we get there very late, and I have a lot to say about it. And when I told my mom about it,
oh,
she was like, "You should have just called the front desk and complained." And my response to her was, "I wasn't staying in this hotel long enough to really make a effort of it." Um, but we get to this hotel. Normally, our hotels have extra bedding that we can and everything. This one didn't, which isn't normally wouldn't be a deal breaker, but we had 4 people in a room, and one of them, AJ, always sleeps on the floor, so um, that like,
no, straight up, I offered him a bed once and he didn't take it. I mean,
mm-hmm.
the, all yours. It could be your bed. No, I'm good. Okay.
But the what was it? The TV didn't work like at all. I couldn't even watch cable. Um,
Worst Wi-Fi spot. We were definitely in the
we were in
awful room.
we were in a bad
We
Wi-Fi
called it
area,
the
murder room.
yeah, the murder room. I was like, can I say that? Yeah, I think I can. It's not like we're monetized.
We're 4 minutes in. They don't watch past this anyway. Uh, the bots don't really pick up on it after 3 to 5 minutes. So it doesn't matter. We're not monetized. But yeah, we're right next to the storage closet, and the sign was right by for our door was right by the storage closet. So our friend Trevor, who drove us, was almost convinced that we were in the storage closet for half a second, and we get in there, and
I was one who said because I saw the storage closet and I looked to the right because I knew exactly where the room would be, and I went, ah, murder room.
yeah, uh, we get there, and we pretty much just finalize our decks, and because it's like 10:30 at night already, and we get there, we finalize our decks, and Trevor writes down his, and so does AJ, I believe, and then we passed out like a couple hours after that. Like it was like we weren't really in there very long, and doesn't offer free breakfast like every other hotel I've ever been to. Um,
Because it's Seattle.
yeah.
Seattle always charges for their breakfast.
Um, it. I kept making the joke. I'm writing a 1-star review, and
I have to say, when AJ and I stayed there, the two previous times that we have,
mm,
quality was fine. Like I think I've stayed at that hotel at least before that 2 or 3 times. And I think because of how late we got there, because of me, we kind of got shafted bad. Like
yeah.
even the guy was like, the only room I have left is this one. Sorry guys. And I was like, oh well, that's not a good start.
We also saw a rat run across the road when we were driving towards it.
I see that rat every time we freaking go that way, man. It's
Classic,
Seattle.
classic Seattle. Um,
Classic Seattle, man. That mouse no, that was a rat, Trevor.
yeah. I the funniest part about that whole thing was that you didn't know what a plaid pantry was to me and everything. That you and Trevor both didn't know what pantry was because they're everywhere in the Pacific Northwest. They're literally in every city, like every big city. Like,
I haven't really lived in any of the big cities in Washington.
yeah, um,
I mean, you gotta remember, I've only lived in Washington since I was about 16. So I mean, that's what 16 years,
yeah. That's
and
half
I
your life,
really, yeah,
but
like, but like I only lived like in the smaller cities and stuff, and then we'd go to Seattle, and when you go to Seattle, you know where you go? You go to 7-Eleven because like when I go to major cities, I just go to a 7-Eleven because 7-Elevens are consistency. I know that I should not go in with high expectations, but sometimes you go in there and you go, dude, they have meat on a stick and it tastes good.
for those of you who like for the listeners or whatever who've never been to Plaid Pantry, maybe you're a rat and you're not from the United States, or maybe you're just not from the area and they don't have them in your area. It's a convenience store. It's very close to a bodega actually, if you know what a bodega is, but it's a convenience store at the end of the day. Like,
Go pump your petrol and call it good.
mhm. Um
They
I,
don't have a hot, that one didn't have a hot case though, which was nice.
No, they sometimes do, they sometimes don't. It depends on location and how big the store is, really. Um, not all 7-Elevens have hot cases either.
Yeah, fair, fair.
So but ended up I remember you're like, there's a 7-Eleven half a mile, and I was like, yeah, it's half a mile the other way. I'm not walking a mile and everything. And you're like, it's half a mile, and I'm like, half a mile there, half a mile back, then 5 more blocks that way.
I walk everywhere. It's fine.
I would have probably been okay with it if my legs weren't like hurting so bad. But
Yeah, I thought I had the back pain thing too, so I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have liked that either.
when we started walking towards Plaid, and we stopped right before a hill, a pretty big hill, and I was like, please don't tell me we have to walk up that hill. You're like, no, we take a left here, and I was like, you you looked at it and you went, thank God we're taking a left here. And Trevor, AJ didn't say anything, but like,
AJ laughed
mm,
because, and he mumbled, "Yeah, not like those goddamn stairs or
I heard
whatever."
it.
When
Yeah,
him and I were in
he said not that like them stairs at Pittsburgh. Yeah, those things I heard killed you.
dude, I genuinely like you get chest pains like, oh, this is okay. I was sitting there going, I think I'm dying. I really think I'm dying, and like my lips are chapped. I'm freaking like
Mm,
sunk in like a zombie. I looked like I'd been on a bender or something. And I get to this convenience store at the end of it, and I just buy like 2 or 3 bottles of vitamin water or something to start downing them and see the color and everything come back. After I had the drinks and stuff, I was fine.
mm,
My body started working again.
you're running on E. You barely had enough gas to get to the gas station. You're running on fumes.
Well, I was running on Coca-Cola vanilla, so let
Yeah.
that vanilla Coca-Cola that I'd gotten at the airport before we landed when we were leaving like Vegas or whatever.
Yeah. But Seattle was I've come to the conclusion I hate Seattle. Uh I don't like, and not just for events. I just don't like the city. I think that city sucks. Even worse than Portland.
Yeah,
Like I know Trevor's like, Portland. I'm like, Seattle. I'm like no to Portland events because Portland events are always ran poorly. Um Seattle events are pretty mid. I would say they are. This one was ran fine. I don't have like too many complaints about it, really. Except for the usual, everybody's like this shoulder to shoulder, and it gets really hot and stuffy in that loft.
I had my tiny playmat.
Um, Other than that, I didn't really have too much to complain about. I stand by. Salem is the best in our area. Salem, Oregon is the best and everything. Um,
Do
Place
more events there, please.
Konami, if you ever listen, please do more events in Salem. Um, they are so much. They are ran so much smoother, in my honest opinion. There's free water. The city itself is nicer. It like it's just overall, it's a nicer place. Um, that's just my opinion. Uh, but as for event, I played Mitsurugi Ogdoadic, which my highlight reel, even though I lost this game, was I played through Fualos, all 4 of the Bishiels that banish to summon themselves, and a Nib, and it was the Ash Blossom at the very end that stopped me.
Mhm.
So that's my claim to fame. I ended through all of that. I ended on Cosmic Slicer, Zerol, and the Alien Link still, and it was the Ash Blossom that prevented the planet virus that stopped me from like shutting down the Malice player. And it was my Malice player just looked at me and went, "Dude, your deck is so scary. Like I banished your monsters like 5 times, and you just kept putting them back and kept going." And I was like, "Yeah,
My favorite play was the opponent scooped up to me and they were a mouse player, but I don't think they knew how to play the deck too well, which happens. Oh, that's why I beat them. But I went to the final play and I went crossed out, call so that I could do this. Like, yeah, you win. And he scooped it up and he was all, I drew my Lancia again that I'm supposed to banish to counter it. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I kind of signed the sheet with them, checked that I won. And I started to walk away and I thought about it and I went, you had, I didn't say it to him. I was like, you had Lancia, activate cross out, and it's my turn. You activate the Lancia in response to stop me, right?
yeah," because it doesn't banish its cost.
No.
But
Had a
the
moment.
the one deck I ended up facing that wasn't a shifter deck was Tenyi Sword Soul. And Tenyi Sword Soul
Oh,
could kind of play it. Like, it wouldn't be happy about it, but you can kind of do it. Um, and my opponent was nice. She was really nice, but I could tell she was new to the game, or newer to the game. And I gave her. I didn't want to be the dude that was like, hey, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Blah, blah, blah. I went, hey, I think your deck's really cool. I'm a big fan of this deck, and I always like recommending it to people. It didn't seem like you opened up any of the good hands or anything like that. And she went, yeah, my friend kind of taught me a few of the lines and stuff like that for it. And all that, and I never opened them up, and I was like, oh, I think she's new just to the game and all that. But, and like, uh, it was, I've had, never in my games, but like a few times throughout the tournament, I had people next to me or like across from me or like at the same table somewhere not understand how imperm works and thought it worked. Kind of like Trevor thought it worked, keeps thinking it works. Um,
Negate the whole column. It doesn't negate the whole column.
yeah. Or in the case of this one person, like that's what most of them kept thinking is the whole column's negated. And then like there was like one person that was like next to me at one point that was like thought it negated, and because it negated the speller trap, it destroyed it. And the person went, no, doesn't, that's, it doesn't do that,
Doesn't.
it just negates it. Because she was it was another girl. She was playing against a Blue Eyes player, and the True Light was in the imperm column. So she stopped the True Light from reviving, which is the good thing, and she negated a Jet Dragon. So she's like, well, since Jet Dragon's negated, and this negates that, it pops it right, and your whole board goes. He's like, imperm doesn't destroy, and then she's like, huh? But it doesn't negate. And then he read it. He's like, yeah, but it doesn't say destroy. It would have to say negate and destroy. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Or negate the activation.
Yeah, but that was my experience. My last game was against Ryzeal Shark, which Ryzeal Shark could also play Shifter, and the person just straight up said, I just didn't draw it versus you. And I was like, yeah.
Oh no.
I got to full combo him though. He saw how the inboard ended and went, okay, next game. Like, he tried to play through like one thing, and then I flipped, or he got two monsters out, and I went Planet Pollutant Virus and destroyed them. And he's like, reads Planet and goes, reads Planet, reads Cosmic, and goes, okay, next game. Like,
Oh, I know. I watched my Infernoid opponent. Infernoid? Yeah, Infernoid. They're the ones that vanished from the grave.
mm,
Do a full combo on me, and he did everything. And then finally, I looked at the board. I'm like, okay, I can't beat this. And he was like, "Thank you for letting me play it out." And I was like, "We had time, and quite frankly, I needed to remember where to hit this deck. So it's not like,
mm.
it's like I had to let you play it out so I knew what to do against the deck."
Oh,
And that's how it is. He resolved grass, and I was like, Lancia, I guess.
yeah. Um, oh man. Last round before we left, our driver Trevor ended up facing against our friend Robert at the last round, and it was so funny
Oh,
Stefan because Stefan was like, "Oh man, we all have the same record. We could face Trevor," and um, then Robert's like, "Oh, I'm at table 74." I'm like, "Oh, I'm at table 75." He's like, "Hey, what's Trevor's last name?" And then I was like, I tell him what it was. He's like,
blah blah blah.
uh, I I think I'm facing Trevor. And then he goes, Trevor was sitting on at table 74, and I was like, I went and sat down next to Trevor and went, "Hey, buddy," and he's like, "Oh,
Hey,
hey," and he's like, "Oh, hey," and then Robert sat down across him. He's like, Trevor's like, "I thought it might be you. I saw Robert, and then and then W," and I was like, "I think." I was like, it might be you, and I was like, yeah, this is funny. And then,
then I walked by after my game was over, and they were like talking and facing each other. I'm like, what's going on there? And like, like they actually got paired up, Stefan. And I went, oh shit, I thought they were casually playing. So of course I walk off into the aisleway and stop,
Hmm.
hovering like I would if they were just playing a casual game and learning.
Yeah, but it
That
was,
was
uh,
so awful.
um, I know, I think AJ mentioned it that I think James and John got paired against each other, and
They did, and from what I understand, John got him in time. So
yeah,
we can.
which really probably it made James upset because he has like issues with the time rules.
He does.
He has like a personal issue with how the time rules are.
A personal grudge against him.
I wonder if that's why he left our like local messenger group. I haven't messaged him, but apparently he left that group.
I
Um,
saw it, and like I think it just kind of got buried. But I was looking up and like, oh, I'll go. I'll probably message and check up on him in a bit.
mhm.
See how he's doing.
But
Well, my favorite freaking people can't be going and losing my favorite people to.
yeah, so that was kind of Seattle regionals. We all kind of scrubbed out. For matches, I played against two Malice players, a Sword Soul Tenyi, and then a Ryziel, and uh, the you played against Infernoid, right? Did you play against Malice?
I played against Malice twice. The
Okay.
one opponent didn't know what they were doing. The other opponent really knew what they were doing. And if I was a dirtbag, I could have gotten my opponent to scoop up and I would have gotten the win. But I wasn't a dirtbag. Because I like blew up his board with Excite on Night and he's all, so you win from here, right? You have he did the thing like you do, is like, oh, you have the OTK. And I was like, I would love to tell you that I have the OTK because I do, but I'm like, Excite on Night prevents me from doing damage to you. So I can't OTK.
With me, I remember the damage thing that you can't do it. What usually gets me is that I don't think I can usually play out of what the end board you're gonna make is and everything with
But
like
I mean, I wouldn't have felt bad if my opponent just scooped it up from there
mhm.
and didn't say anything. But since they said you should have it at this point, I had to correct them like, no, I can't do damage to you. So I really didn't want the
the the last the shark player, I was saying like, yeah, I like he's like, "Oh, I like the Ogdoadic build of your I think it was a shark. It was either the shark or the second Malice player. Was like, "I like oh, I like your build." And oh, I like the fact that you went. Oh no, it was the second Malice player because it was my round two opponent. I was like, "Oh, I like your build and everything." He's like, "It's really cool. I see all the synergies and what you're going for, and it's really awesome and everything." And I went, "I I just don't. I was like, I like Ogdo Addicts. I have for a long time, and the Mitsurugi cards give me like a good payoff for it. And he's like, yeah, I like. I know it's not the best deck. I know technically the Ryziel deck is the better version of Mitsurugi. He's like, I like playing the more suboptimal versions too. A lot of the time, they're just more fun, and sometimes they have a higher ceiling. And I was like, see, you get it. Like,
the Ryziel deck's probably not that much better though. It is
mm,
so much more bricky with the Mitsurugi version. That's why people are going away from it. Some YouTubers might have hyped it and didn't realize that, the deck is like Pure is famous for being bricky,
yeah,
right? But your hand traps carry you. And the Mitsurugi, what would have been your hand traps, are usually the Mitsurugis, and if you draw the wrong assortment, you just lose. Thrizeal, it's a slow loss when you draw the wrong pure. It's a slow loss. With Mitsurugi, it's almost immediate because you're just sitting there going, none of these do anything. So
hmm,
it's way brickier. More people are going towards the pure version because of Shifter and how many counters there are in the deck against the Ryziel deck. Fiendsmith is probably still the best version, but I think that it has too much crossover. It has too much, well, not crossover. It has too much Bestials exist. That's why it's worse.
Yeah. Um.
Because Malice run Bestial's main board because they use them as their starters, extenders, and finishers. Now you're crossing over into they don't have to sideboard to stop you. Is they just play their deck in game one, they can gunsmoke you. So
Yeah.
and that's also a comprehension of why some decks seem really good in a format but then they're not because you have crossover. And when crossovers happen with decks and stuff, you can find that the better decks will be ones that don't. The two top decks shouldn't have too much crossover and be counterable. Um, the last format before we got the this current list was fine for a lot of people because sideboarding was very much both of the top decks cross over very easily and are easy to counter the sideboard for. So either you're counter sideboarding or sideboarding for them, and most of what hits one will probably hit the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Currently, your top two decks are Ryziel and Malice, and Malice doesn't cross over count with the cards that you play to counter Ryziel. So there's no crossover. You have to actually pick one and hope to God that's all you face. Pure, just you can just have built-in answer. Cool. My hand trapped main board that stop Ryziel mirror matches turn into Malice hate whenever I play the deck, or vice versa, or it switches out. So pure Ryziel is better on that front because it doesn't have to counter sideboard. It can just normal sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
And Malice is just instinctively good against Ryziel variants. Pure Ryziel should beat Malice most of the time. There's no to it, you know. Pure Ryziel beats a lot of the decks because it can sideboard.
So
That's just been my whole conclusion on the whole Ryziel, pure versus mixed variants and
so a shout out I want to do is shout out to Isaiah from our locals who got ninth place. This is his first actual regionals, I believe. I know he went to YCS Sacramento with us, or he got a
yeah,
ride, or he flew. He took a flight. He didn't ride
he
exactly with us,
flew to
but
yeah.
he went to YCS Sacramento, and I'm pretty sure, just like all of us, he like didn't make it to day two and scrubbed out. I think he scrubbed out before even I did, and uh, he ended up playing the Blue Eyes deck, and I'm so proud of him because he put in so much time into that deck and effort, and actually kept working on it and working on it and tweaking it because he kept getting brick hands, and he was like, "I'm gonna,
His build was scary.
yeah." Because his build
I
wasn't like the
played
big
against that deck
combo.
more than I think the only other person who played against his version than me was Robert.
Yeah.
And I played against it with pure Ryziel, and most of the time I can just steamroll everything he plays so safely into the floor and outgrinds and outplays me that that's probably the correct way to play blues. He completely changed my opinion of the Blue Eyes deck.
Mm.
And I said that arguably he is the best Blue Eyes player now.
He but yeah,
I can't claim that
he
anymore.
got ninth place because he went 6-1-1. So he was barely out of the top eight for the playmat. But he's still happy he got it. I was honestly expecting to see more Blue Eyes at that event because but turns out I hardly saw any actually. I was actually really surprised how little I
I
saw.
saw more Malice, which was
I
weird.
saw a ton of Malice. Walking around high tables and low tables, it was like all Malice, like and everything almost. So it wasn't. Yeah, I had fun. I would have had more fun if I wasn't. I think I was sick, like the whole event too. I think I would have had more fun if I wasn't sick. I was so. So fun fact, we were gonna record yesterday, but I was so sick still that I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not recording." Um, but instead, we just played some casual games, and uh, we've learned something very interesting about what Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. I mean, we kind of had this, we knew about this for a while, but it like really cemented it in my brain. what some people consider fun slash casual is not the same as what other people consider fun slash casual. Like I rolled up to against Stefan with like this 60 card pile that was Fiendsmith and what was it? It was Fiendsmith. It had the Materiactor cards in it, but I never saw them against you. And
I
Primite.
saw him I saw him game one and went, oh cool, this is cool. And then from there on I never saw them again and I
And
went, oh neat.
it was just like the Primite and Fiendsmith, the like and everything. I didn't even see the Infernoids at all versus you either.
Well, there was Infernoids there?
Yeah, there was Infernoids in there. That's why I was like, uh, that's why I was like, whoa. That's why I picked it. Because there's like Infernoid Jank pile. It had like some Fiendsmith stuff in it. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then it had like the Primite stuff and it had the Materiactors. And I was like, okay, this is missing like a ton of different engines. And then I just only saw like the Materia actors like won a little bit, and then it was just Fiendsmith and Primite, and I was like, this is not the same as a casual deck because I dropped Fualos on you as well, and I was like,
I was just standing there like, oh cool, full allos. Nice.
yeah, and then I beat you with the next deck that didn't have an extra deck at all. And that was funny. I played the Golden Castle Stromberg
Golden
deck.
Castle, yeah.
And I was like, see, this one feels actually like two jank decks and fun and casual decks, and yours just has a bad matchup against mine. Mine,
Yeah.
the other one, I was like, this one doesn't. This one feels like it's like a like rogue level like you deck.
Bro, bro, it's a super casual deck, and they're just punching down, beating their locals with it.
Mm-hmm. I almost picked this dark magician deck that looked like almost constructed dark magician that was under fun and casual, just like actual like a normal build almost. Because the dude's like primer on it and on description is like, yeah, here's a fun version of the deck. It has a lot of it bricks and everything occasionally. I'm like, dude, that's just dark magician, like it and everything. The only difference was is he had like the magician girls in it, but the magician girls like they don't get played in the actual dark magician deck, but they're not like the worst cards ever. Um, but like I decided against that one after the Primite, Fiendsmith, Infernoid Materiactor. But I will say that um that gave me kind of an inspiration of how to actually build Materiactor because I didn't know how to build them. I was like they just seem like all over the place and worse goblins, and now I'm like, okay, so they are worse goblins, but they can make a really big Zeus, like a really big one with the actual Materiactor engine because their field spell, which we don't have in the TCG yet, uh, we don't have their normal monster, which they need to actually do a lot of their plays. So you have to like you have to use a generic level 3 normal monster for them as of now in the TCG. But between their field spell on Project Ignis and their continuous spell, you just keep attaching cards from the top of your deck onto them as material. So like their their field spell is every time you Xyz summon, you can attach one onto a material from the top of your deck on as material to a Materiactor, and then their continuous spell says that every time you activate an Xyz monster's effect, it does that. So you like are going through and you're just playing, and it just when I was playing against Sword Soul AI just to see if it worked, it was really funny just watching them all get attached.
How do you get the ghost strip what's her nut on top of them after you've done all that and just win?
Oh, that would be cool. I don't think you can. Uh, I'd actually have to check the rank or what their type and attribute are, because if their type and attribute are the right thing, you might just be able to use a regular rank up.
That's what I was thinking. Is can't we like rank up, rank down, and just jump around to all the different ghost strip things until we get there?
I mean, maybe I'd have to look because like you could because there's a rank up.
Whippodosaurus, the Saurus will get us there.
Oh, true. No, it doesn't lock you into anything. You can play any card. You're not locked into XZ. You can play that. So you can do that, and then you can just use one of the rank ups to just ranks it up with the same type and level or type and attribute, but it's like it has to be one rank higher. You just use one of those old ones because there's also a Rebarian Shark that's a rank 3 that I believe it's detaches as a rank up card and everything. So it's not like that just no one plays because any deck that wants rank ups, their decks already search it and have an easier way to do it. So like, which is just Raid Raptors, I believe at this point. I think Raid Raptors is the only like somewhat decent deck that actually uses rank ups. Um, but yeah, I actually kind of like the Materia Reactor. They're not good, but I do like them. Um, so I learned how to play it because of that deck. That's the good thing
Hey,
that come out of that pile. Uh, After this podcast, do you want to do some more of that? Because it's
yeah,
fun.
probably. I think we could do a few more of that.
Um,
We were late to our hotel. I'll tell the story on this because apparently I double booked event.
mm,
Um, Not purposely. I mean, just like 2 months ago, I put in for locals, drawing kind of thing to be able to play the Gundam beta TCG,
mm.
and I won something for once. I mean, even though I had to pay $70 still, but you know, won. And so like they're waiting on me, and I'm like, oh, this game's pretty fun, and um, but that's not till like June or July that I get to fully immerse into that. But yeah, that delayed us because everyone's waiting on me to get off work and then play another card game
Mm-hmm.
before the night we go to play more card games.
It was so packed there too that like we couldn't really like even play friendly games too much with each other. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, it was kind of a big thing. I mean, that's why they did the lottery system.
I th- I haven't looked at I looked at some of the card art and everything. It looked all right. I and you kind of explained it how to play a little bit to me. Um,
Yeah, it's like it's imagine everything just has threshold and then it has a cost to the threshold, you know.
mm-hmm.
You control this much resource, then I mean, the nice part is people that don't like being mana screwed, you'll never be mana screwed in the game.
So
Every turn, you just put a resource from the resource deck into your resource row, and then you draw your card for turn.
so I remember explaining that we explained that to Trevor and he didn't really understand it. But I was explaining to Trevor almost every game does that now. If they have a resource system at all, they go that way because nobody likes getting mana screwed or mana flooded. They like get everything, and the best way to get out to make sure so that that doesn't happen, your games aren't broken and wild like Yu-Gi-Oh is, where it's just and everything, where we're going like 1,000 miles an hour. Um, as a and everything, if you want a mana system or like a resource system, that's the best way to do it because even in like this is an online game, Hearthstone, for example, is a card game. You just get a mana every turn, and Legends of Runeterra, League of Legends, like card game that they made as a digital game, um, did the same thing where you just get a new card or you get a new mana every single turn, and it the games still last like long enough that you're gonna be able to play like these big high drops and stuff like that and all that, even though you're getting mana constantly and you're getting new cards as well. So I think that um for going forward for game design, if you're gonna have a mana system, I do like that games are going that way. Um but yeah, so I don't know if I brought this up in the last podcast, but VCard TCG, the VTuber like TCG, um, I have a little bit more now that I have more understanding of it. That game is so broken, like how it wins and everything like that. That it's just like it's not as like unplayably bad as uh like MBT made it seem like. Now that I understand the actual rules, um, but it does mean that you can win every single round and never lose. Like there is a way to do that, and I went, that seems like a flaw in game design. And apparently they're doing away with the whole anti thing, so which is good. Nobody wants to spend hundreds of dollars on cards and then have to give them away. Like,
Yeah, it
but
didn't work with Magic. It's not gonna work with.
yeah. Plus, it actually violates gambling laws in a lot of
It does
places.
violate gambling laws. I don't know what made them think they could get away with that. It's like, cool. Now you can't sell this game in a lot of countries in most American states.
Hmm. But
Like Magic was so bad. I've talked to old players that,
yeah.
they would get kicked out of like restaurants and stuff for sitting there and playing it because they thought they were gambling, you know?
Hmm. Um.
Like,
But yeah, and playing for Anti's dumb. For new card games coming out. So while we're on that topic, so there's Gundam. I am not a fan of the Gundam series, but I always joke it would be funny if I got really good at Gundam and became like a pro level
the
player.
play loop's pretty fun, and I'll probably chat with you a bit more after this about it. And
Uh huh.
you know, there's a
But
lot of nuances that are really nice. You get to draw on the first turn still.
but I was saying how funny I think it would be if I was like playing and everything and they're like, "Oh, and someone tried to go to like a once it takes off and everything and go to like a bigger tournament. Oh, so what's your favorite Gundam series? I don't like the series. What? I just play the cards, dude. I'm not a mech fan. Or to be controversial, I'll find one that's universally like hated for the most part and say that one's my favorite just to really get people rub people the wrong way. But there's that. There's the Hollow Live.
Let me tell you about the Tequila Gundam, though.
Okay. There's the Hollow Live card game that's coming out that it reminds me of a mixture of Weiss Schwarz and Pokemon. Like you get six um you can have up to six people and everything. You get your one main person, one collab, and then like five and then like four backup collabers or whatever and stuff like that. So just like Pokemon, you have up to six. Uh Unlike Pokemon and just like Weiss Schwarz, you draw from a mana deck every turn. It's called a cheer deck, but it's all idle themed and stuff like that. And it's like the way it was played, described now, when that sounds like it has like One Piece's life system where you hit them and everything, and you they get the card off or whatever. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. That's how the Gundam has it too. Is you have the things off the
yeah,
side and a way to shield it, and then
yeah.
you reveal. And if the card has a burst, the burst effect can take
So
effect.
so
And
when you were saying that, it reminded me of Duel Masters because Duel Masters had shield triggers. Where when you broke a shield, if it had enough shield trigger effect, it would automatically like trigger, and then it would go to the graveyard. Otherwise, it just come to your hand.
yeah, like the burst system in Gundam's interesting because you flip it, and if the card has burst, it does this like white base is
Mm,
a base, and it's supposed to protect you. So it gets hit by that, and you burst it, and you go, cool. It enters play,
mm.
and now it's protecting you. Um,
There's
it looked like my opponent was a little like frustrated that I had a couple of those white bases from my packs, and I had a very competently hilarious deck, and I was just playing with. This card looks cool. I don't know how to play card games. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player.
uh
Everyone's like mathematically doing things. It's like, what are you doing, Stefan? This is Sandrock Gundam. This is Gundam Wing. I know these Gundams. I'm playing with these ones. And this is Shard's Daku 2 with Shard to pilot it.
mm, you did what we call pulling a Dustin of when I don't know what these cards
I
do.
did.
I don't know what these cards do. I didn't look at anything and everything, so we're just gonna roll with it. It's
My opponent's teaching me how to play the game as we're going because he's read the rule book. I haven't.
mm,
I spent my whole time trying to build my deck and figure out where I was.
that's funny. Yeah,
He's teaching me, and then I just beat him, and he's like, game, like, look, I have to go. We're going to Seattle, or I'd love to sit here and play some more with you.
mm,
Would have loved to have spent my whole night doing that, but
but from the way your locals was talking, it sounds like they want to have events for Gundam and everything.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah, he asked, like, I mean, one of the owners, like, well, Stefan, you gonna, yeah, in July, you guys know I'll play it. It's Gundam. I know because one of the other people that used to play some Yu-Gi-Oh with us, but I think took a break from it. Actually, two of them. They looked at me because I sat down and had a box and like, taking a break from Yu-Gi-Oh, Stefan? No, I like Gundam. Oh, just playing two card games. Yeah. And then I think about it and I go, that makes me look like I have more money than what I have.
I mean, I didn't have any income, and I was playing Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh for like the last 10 years, for over 10 years. So like,
Like,
you just get money where you can, and you just play what you get and everything.
yeah,
It's kind of like I ended up making somewhat
Gun
competent decks in Magic just because I'd play a lot of limited.
Gundam is an investment because it's one of those things that there are Gundam nerds out there that do Gunpla and all that stuff. Happen to collect a lot of that stuff too. And even the old card game, which wasn't really that great, I guess. Even those cards are worth money still because people they just hold their value because you're like, I like the artwork of them and it's Gundam, so I have to have my favorite thing. So it's kind of funny to think that it's like, cool, even if this game fails, these cards are gonna stay worth money.
Isn't it? It wasn't it like the beta, like for your box, like the beta box or whatever, selling on like TCG Player for like $700 or something like that already. Like
Yeah,
crazy.
the betas are that limited and everyone are going like a lot of those people there weren't even from our area. There was
Mm,
quite a few of them that weren't.
yeah.
Like my opponent came from Tacoma to play in this event again. I mean,
Mm,
like, there's a lot of people that are just driving around going to 'em.
yeah, that's fair. I would. I'm not a Gundam person. In fact, even when the newest Gundam series that I guess is controversial, that people I've heard mainly good things about, but I've heard that the really diehard Gundam fans that are like over like 40 hated it, and I wonder why.
Well,
um,
you see, the thing is you just don't be in the same Facebook group as those guys, and life is
yeah,
great. You just be in the better groups of the more new age people like me, that are
yeah,
like, we don't care, we're just building giant robots.
yeah. Oh, but the two main characters are two gay girls that like each other, and I'm like, I don't care. If anything, that
I've been on
encourages.
the parts of the internet where I know a lot of them have been and enjoy that content, so I don't know why they're complaining.
If
Is
anything,
it because it's mainstream and they have to explain it to their Republican parents that they live in their basement of?
yeah, probably. If anything, I was like, if anything, that makes me want to watch it. No, but and
Like, the
everything,
series has always been controversial with things. It's an
yeah,
anti-war statement. Like,
anti-war. Every Gundam, I think, is a little gay. Like even if it's not like
yeah,
even if the two like main rival dudes don't end up hooking up together, it's still a little. It's just like Naruto and Sasuke. They're a little gay, like for each other.
look up a picture of Char. That's Char, and tell me you wouldn't lay in bed with that gentleman.
But anyway,
He is a dirtbag, by the way, and I'll tell you after this whole entire thing why he's the best character ever.
I but yeah, I never got into Gundams and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's really funny that to explain to people that I like kaijus, but I hate giant mechs and I hate everything because they're like, aren't they basically the same thing? I'm like, no, there's a difference.
No, there's not. There's technology, and then there's Mother Nature
Mm,
saying, fuck you.
yeah.
I can do it better with atomic breath and judo.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one is a giant robot, and the other is a giant lizard that can breathe fire or atomic breath. Or on the opposite side of a rival company or a rival thing for Godzilla, one is the friend to all children and it is a
Friend to
giant
all
turtle.
children, Gamaran, right?
Yeah, which is what Gamma
And he
Seal's
does
based on.
athletic stuff, man. And he
Yeah,
like has like he could do like pull ups and all these other things
and
on
he goes in his
bars. And
shell and he spins and he flies like a
it,
UFO.
it plays like yeah. That's why the Bowser thing is so hilarious.
Mhm.
That's just a call out to that in Smash.
But yeah, I like kaiju's. Because honestly, I like the silliness of it and everything. It just but yeah, I don't like I never like Gundam. I I think the reason I don't like it, and I told this in the car on our way home. I think the reason I don't like it, I didn't grow up with it. I grew up at and like not even Power Rangers. I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers until I was like 7 or 8. And by the time I watched Power Rangers, I went, these movies suck. Or not these movies, these shows suck.
I
Because
didn't grow up with Gundam. It wasn't until I was like a teenager that I saw Mobile Fighter G Gundam, and I was like, "This is cool."
mm, I thought I didn't mind
That's in
mech
my edge phase.
I thought I didn't mind mecha anime for a while, but that's because all the ones I watched I happened to like. But then I realized that the ones I watched just happened to be like the really, really like good and praised ones. Like Gurren Lagann, I liked that one, but that one's like very high rated. So is Code Geass. But Code Geass, it was more of a political anime that just happened to have mechs even more than Gundam was. Um
Yeah,
I liked Aldnoah Zero, which is very much very Gundam like, but I'm pretty sure the reason I liked that show was more for the freaking theme song more than anything that just would play every couple of episodes. Because that theme song's
but what about
really.
Megas XL?
Uh, I also liked. Well, I didn't like it. I thought it was okay until it wasn't. Was Darling in the Franxx.
I still haven't watched that one.
It's
Like,
all a
and I like mecha
euphemism.
stuff.
It's all a euphemism for sex. That's the whole
I figured
thing.
it was. Like everyone was like posting about it, and I was just like, and usually like I'd be like, oh, I just don't like because people post about it. I was like, that's not true this time around. I just like didn't have that inkling to go and watch it. I was like, none of this stuff people are posting is really
most of the things
tickling any fancy I have.
most of the things people posted about it was the freak it was 02 the waifu of the series, and that's what
Mm.
everybody was like freaking happy over. And she was like she was okay. Like I grew to like her a lot more. She went from my like second favorite to probably my favorite because she just got the most character development because she's one of the main characters. But um Gundams and stuff like that aside, that's probably why. Well, that's one of the many reasons Stefan likes Ryziel because they're just Gundams.
Yeah, but if you put the car head on detonator,
Yeah,
you just put the car on there. Come on, tell me you don't have me.
that's why I like the kaiju archetype so much. I just like freaking kaiju's. So, uh, we've rambled on. We kind of got off topic of Yu-Gi-Oh. Overall regionals,
That's fine.
that's fine. Uh, if it's your birthday today, happy birthday, and of course, and as always, have a wonderful
Have a
day.
wonderful day.